Let's go. FPL double up time, Wes. We're here, and I have a strange story to start with that might have a bearing on how this stream turns out. Are you ready for it? It's not a strange story at all. It's not as creepy as it
Ready?
sounds. It's an unfortunate one. I was just at the shop before we went live, parked up, sat in my car, waiting 2 minutes, piss and rain, you know yourself, and someone bumped into the front of my car. And I thought, oh, why have you bumped into the front of my car? So I kind of looked and I was like, oh, they're going to back off. And they weren't backing off. And I was like, okay, they want me to get out and we'll have a look. There'll be barely a scratch. Backed off, bumped into my car again, forward. And at that stage, I was like, all right, what the fuck's going on? Oh, what's going on here? And looked, and they went back one more time, and then they properly bumped my car to the point that it broke their number plate holder and scratched the front of my car. Now, it wasn't a big scratch, but it was a scratch. And it was a man who must have been about 90. And it was a really awkward one, because it's one of those where, like, you feel for him. Here's the most annoying bit. The third time he hit it with force, the reason he managed to get up to force was because I actually got in my car, backed off further back into the space to give him more space for his three-point turn, and then he hit me again. So I didn't really know what to do. So I rang the guards because I want to report it. I got his mobile number, going to try and sort it out outside the insurance, but I'm genuinely worried that he's going to kill someone on the road, because I actually think, and this is pretty deep, I think he might like be on borderline dementia. He didn't have a clue what was going on, and he just bumped into my car 3 times. So I might get a call from the guards, or the police as you in England know them, while we're recording, and you might have to carry the show. So that's why you got the long-winded story of an old man bumping into my car 3 times in a row. But anyway,
Yeah, hold the fort down if that happens.
we're here to talk FPL. You had a green arrow, I had a red arrow. Both of them relatively minor, I think. If you want to tell us how your week went, I'll get your week up on the screen.
Yeah, it's really weird because I am happy with the green arrow, but actually no, I was very happy at the time because I was expecting a red arrow because of so many things going wrong with this FPL site crash last week. John, you probably spoke about that on your other videos, but obviously the site went down. I couldn't change captaincy off Haaland. I couldn't sub out Foden or whatever I wanted to do. So, but to be fair, those things worked out okay. I'd have probably captained Callum Wilson, who would have blanked. I might have transferred in Alvarez and De Bruyne, so it's one of those. Who knows? But yeah, 62 points, green arrow. Really can't complain with the week that we just had. Zaha and Salah, big saviours for me. Pope was a bit annoying, but yeah, it was basically there's the Zaha. And before Zaha got his haul, I was probably going to get a red, and likewise, I needed something from Salah to not get a red. Got a little minor green, but yeah, the last 4 or 5 weeks on the whole have been pretty poor for me. But yeah, we take last week.
Yeah, I think having the Andreas 6 points as well was nice. At least it kind of half paid for the -2 from Cancelo. My fortunes weren't quite so, I don't know, quite so green, but still feel like I got away with one. 56 points, Cancelo captain, everyone knows, but it's been a couple of days in the channel since I've said. Castagna got me to 6, Trippier with 12, Zaha and Salah pulled me out of a hole. Again, had a transfer in the bank, couldn't make it because of the crashed site. It is what it is. Not complaining too much. Pope a bit of a gutter. Is that right? Yeah, a bit of a gutter. You know what I mean. But look, we take it. We move on. I was down at like 1.6 million at one stage, and I got it all the way back up with the Salah and Zaha's to 1.145. So it felt like a win, even though it was a small red. That was how my week went. We've seen how your week went. We're going to have a look today at a few things, Wes. We're going to be looking at punts for every position for the last week. We're going to review our double up game. Going to suppose the halfway point of the season. Not quite in terms of game weeks, but you get my point. We're going to do some quick fire questions, and then we'll look at what you're thinking of doing this week, and we'll talk about what I'm thinking of doing this week. Before we actually do the different punts and the positions, I want to talk about Haaland. Because a lot of people will be wondering about Haaland. A lot of people will be thinking about Wilson. Mitrovic's the big red flag, so that's probably your question answered, everyone. And even some people might be thinking Cancelo suspended, even though he's not, because he's serving that in the cup in the midweek. So I've answered 2 of them. Haaland and Wilson, what's the latest from the FPL expert?
Yeah, so Haaland, there's a tweet on Hub's Twitter, one of the top ones, a video of him training with his teammates. You know, he's in shorts, running around. Read into that what you will. I think that's a good sign. He was on the bench for the Carabao Cup game, which is again a good sign because if he wasn't fit, why even name him on the bench. He got a full rest as well, along with Foden and De Bruyne. Pep's comments today are always the same, aren't they? We'll see, we'll see. Like it's normally Pep infuriates every FPL manager. Normally I'm pretty chilled out about it, but even I is starting to really annoy me now.
Yeah.
So yeah, his comments just are like they're meaningless. We'll see, we'll see. Might mean he starts, plays 90 minutes, gets a hat trick. He might be benched, gets 30 minutes, or he might play 0 minutes. Those comments are pointless. But yeah, all signs are pointing to Haaland starting, I'd guess, John. But we might get news again. So they're the early kickoff. Will the servers crash? At the minute, he's my captain. And I'm going to assume he starts, and I'll try and, if I hear he's benched, maybe make a last minute change. But like I said last week, I was kind of happy that the decision was taken out of my hands a little bit with the swapping of captaincy stuff, because like I said, I might have moved to Callum Wilson. You don't know what. Some people moved to Salah, and obviously that worked out, but I got a little 5 points for Haaland, quite lucky. But we'll just take it because we've moved on for the Cancelo chat, John, from a minute ago, but we was texting, weren't we? Maybe a day or two after that, or maybe on the evening the Cancelo read, and I said about how unlucky it was because Cancelo at the time that you made that decision was actually a really good shout, because if your triple city was Foden, Haaland, and Cancelo, the best captaincy option out of those three City boys who had the best fixture was Cancelo, and that's normally a prime fixture for Cancelo to get at least a clean sheet. Maybe he couples that with an attacking return, and then he's going to get bonus, isn't he? And it's a double-digit haul, so really unlucky. But it's just summed up, like you said in the text, summed up your season, summed up how crazy FPL is, and that was what was kind of scaring me about making any last-minute changes, because I just thought it's just going to happen. I'm going to make a last-minute change. It makes sense on paper, and it's just going to go tits up. So. Yeah, but sorry, back to your question about Haaland and Wilson. And Wilson's a bit similar. He's been training separately for the group. Eddie Howe said he's a wait and see. Eddie Howe said we'll see about him as well, which really annoyed me. But yeah, his illness seems to be a fairly bad illness, but at least he's in the training ground. He is training. So again, that makes me think he's going to start, unless, I don't know, being a professional footballer, Premier League, you've got to be tip-top shape, I guess. If you have got some sort of lingering illness that's going to affect you, then maybe he won't play. I don't know. But yeah, he's in training. He's training on his own, Callum Wilson.
Yeah, training on his own doesn't sound great, but it's one of those. It puts a lot of us in an awkward position because a lot of us have obviously brought him in. Just me again, I think the thing with Pep's comments from Haaland, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I wouldn't say I've been under a rock the last week, but I've been focusing a lot on World Cup content personally, where I haven't been necessarily following the ins and outs of the injury news of the week. But to my mind, unless Haaland picked up another injury in that 30-minute cameo that I'm missing, or if he re-injured in training, because if it's neither of those, if there wasn't a report of either of those, and if there was, I missed it, because I don't get what the big worry is. He played 30 minutes a week ago. He has no World Cup. He'll be chomping at the bit trying to break records and get goals and come in and play. He'll be like, I want to play. I'm not going to the World Cup. It's months. He's going to get more than 30 minutes. You have to imagine he gets more than 30.
Yeah, you'd think so. And also there's a quote from him it was on like Norwegian TV that someone put up with subtitles, where it was post-match, where he was basically saying he wanted to start, but the decision wasn't his to do so. So yeah, I don't know if it's a re-injury or he's played with some ligament damage, a bit like maybe with Mitrovic, where he's had this ankle injury for a long time now. And Mitrovic's played 90 minutes multiple times with a supposed ankle injury. Well, not a supposed, an ankle injury. So maybe it's similar. I guess every injury is it's hard, isn't it? Like, if you've torn your hamstring or broken your leg, you can't play. If you've got some sort of damage in your foot, you can kind of play, but you can't. Maybe Pep doesn't want to risk 90 minutes and injuring him, for the season. I don't know. But like, your logic makes complete sense to me. He's played 30 minutes 7 days ago. He's been rested in the cup. However, he was on the bench, and therefore, that indicates that he's not properly injured. So for me, he should start. If he doesn't, and like with this World Cup break coming up now, if they had a big Champions League fixture in like 4 or 5 days' time, then I'd be on the fence. But
yeah,
there's a World Cup break. He's not going. How long of a break is he going to have? At least a month, over a month, 5-6 weeks. So
yeah,
has to play, surely.
Has to play. Honestly, I really do think he'd play, but still, I'm leaning towards the Salah captaincy. Call me mad, but we'll get to that a bit later, I suppose. But like,
it's legit. Salah's obviously back, 2 goals against Spurs, extra point for midfielder. it's I think since Rangers game for Salah in all competitions, he's done really well. He's been frustrating in the Premier League at times, but yeah, he's doing well. And Haaland not necessarily fully fit, it could make sense.
Well, to put it into context with Salah, over his last 5 games, right? Or sorry, last 4 games because he didn't play against Derby. So the last 4 games, Ajax goal and an assist, goal against Leeds, goal against Napoli, 2 goals against Spurs. That's 5 goals in 4 games and an assist.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of games he blanked before that against Nottingham where they lost 1-0, where they won 1-0 against West Ham. And then before that was the Man City game where he got a goal and the Rangers hat-trick. So, like, you're actually looking, if you look at Salah's last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he scored 9 goals.
Yeah, it's very good.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, he's definitely a legit captaincy shout, and especially as even we know how bad Liverpool have been in certain games so far this season. But there's some sort of stat where it could be slightly wrong, but it's something like 19 games in all competitions for Salah with 20 returns, as in goals plus assists. So, you can't knock it. It's just the fact that this season we've had Haaland, who's been, out of this world most game weeks. And we've had Liverpool's team form been a bit knocked. Sometimes Salah's been a bit wide, yada, yada. So he's been, quote unquote, trolling us because of his price and what we expect from Salah. But if you actually look at it and people say he's having a bad season, if this is a bad season, then it's still a good season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. The last player I wanted to mention before we do the kind of punts from each position is Phil Foden. Obviously, benching. Fool me once, fool me twice, all that saying, right? It's got to the point now where rested midweek, you would absolutely expect him to start at the weekend. But the World Cup's a coming. It's a grand old fixture. Is there a need to risk him from the England's perspective? Pep maybe doesn't give a shit about that. I don't know. I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I've justified why Foden should have played every week for the last 3 and he hasn't.
Yeah. And same for me. That first Premier League benching he got, that made me think, oh, perfect. Now I'll get him. I've got away with it. I got lucky that he was benched last week. I'm definitely getting him now. He's had his rest, right? But I think in all competitions, and I don't know if you can check this, John, but I think he's had 4 benchings in the last 6. Now, is that resting a player or is that benching a player because he thinks better at the minute he's got better informed players or whatever? Does he trust Grealish more, Mahrez more, Alvarez more, Bernardo Silva out on the wing more? I don't know, but like I say, I don't like the fact that he's been benched 4 times in all competitions out of the last 6, and especially 3 out of 3 in the Premier League games. But like you said, 90 minutes rest, a full rest in the cup game just gone for Foden, De Bruyne, Haaland, and I think Akanji. So it seemed like their big players got a big rest. And if he's not going to play if he's not played a single minute in the EFL Cup, why would he then bench him this weekend? Surely you'd play Foden in the EFL Cup. Whereas Mahrez, Grealish, and Alvarez all got the full 90 minutes when there was no, they didn't need to get 90 minutes. Pep didn't even use all his subs in that cup game. Pep didn't use all his subs in that cup game, and the front 3 all played 90 minutes when there was 2-0 up. If you wanted to rest Mahrez/Grealish for this weekend's game and not start Foden, and surely with 5-10 minutes to go, you'd sub one of them off. But it's Pep, so we're probably wrong.
It makes no sense. Like if there's there's so many different things you can throw out there about Foden, right? One is that he hasn't got a goal or an assist for Man City in over a month. And if I go through the minutes he's played, I know he's played every game apart from last night in a sense, and I know that's kind of cheating a bit. But if I look back at his last games, already he didn't play 2 nights ago. 27 minutes, 90 in the Champions League. 14 minutes, 80 in the Champions League. 29 minutes, 90 against City. 14, 57 on the bench, 74, 65. The fact of the matter is, the chances of Foden getting 90 minutes in the Premier League, the last time he did that was, let me look, in fairness, it was against Liverpool, but it's happened a couple of times. It isn't happening often. My point is, it's very hard to get rid of him this week after the cup game and the resting, but at the same time, it's money that can be freed up to upgrade a Wilson or upgrade Mitrovic.
Pep has, in my opinion, just destroyed his form by resting him so much, because he was on absolute fire. If you look back at that, what was it, a hat-trick against Man United, and in the lead up to that, it was goals and assists either side, and then all of a sudden he's just not has been in and out of the team. I know, yes, he's played like some Champions League games and not returned or whatever, but I just think that he has. And again, who am I? Like, I'm just some idiot who plays FPL and Pep's Pep. But for me, it feels like he's had an informed player that's just now out of form because of how Pep's treated him. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. I just don't think you rest. If you're resting a star player, you don't rest them 4 games out of 6. That seems over. That seems too much. From the start, I know he's got something in most of them, but who knows?
Strange. It's strange. Right. I just want to give a shout out to Vindy in the comments, Sir Moomin, Mikkel Paulson, Amri Hisham, I think, and Geronimus Bosch. What is happening? Yeah. Thanks for being in the comments, guys. There's over 100 of you here. Please do drop a like in the video and subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub. There'll be content coming at you coming up to the World Cup as well. Obviously, people are starting to switch off FPL. Maybe they've made their decisions earlier this week and they'll be back around Christmas. But, there's still plenty of fantasy to be played in the next month. Okay, let's jump over and have a look at some of the punts for the week. I'm going to start off with the goalkeeper and we'll work our way up. So we're looking at 1 week punts here for every position, working from goalkeeper up to forwards. We don't know what situation people's teams are in. We don't know how much they have in the bank. We don't know what they're planning on doing. So we're just going to cover all bases and look at, play for 1 week. Now, long term doesn't matter unless you're absolutely capitulating or getting rid of squad value for the sake of 1 week. Maybe then you need to think about it. Personally, I wouldn't be getting rid of a Haaland or a Martinelli if you've held them for a while. I know some others feel different on that, but it is something to take into account. First up, goalkeepers, Wes, and we've got Ramsdale and Henderson.
So again, you might need a goalkeeper if you've got someone like Kepa who's injured. You've probably got Ward as the backup, so I don't really suggest using that sort of, our last transfer punt for a 1 week punt on a goalkeeper. However, if I was going to, it would be Henderson at home to Palace, I think it is. The save point potential. There's penalty save potential even with Henderson. And, a decent enough chance at a clean sheet there. And likewise with Ramsdale, playing as one of the part of one of the best defences. Away at Wolves, who don't score many goals. So what we're also trying to do with this 2 picks in each position is sort of one cheaper one and one more expensive one, which is why Henderson and Ramsdale there. And you'll see as it goes on as well, we're doing that as well. Yeah,
I mean, these guys are pretty evenly matched in value, but we'll see it more, I suppose, with the outfield positions. But even just in terms of premium team, where you might have, you might already have a triple Arsenal team, there'll be people out there with the Salibas and Sakas and Martinellis and whatever else. Whereas Henderson, you're much less likely to be struggling to get him in. But as Geronimus says in the comments, I probably wouldn't be punting a goalkeeper unless I was absolutely screwed and needed it.
I agree.
But 10.7%, 12.5%. There we go. We'll move on to defenders. This is where it starts to get a bit more exciting, I suppose. Our first defender, Andy Robertson. 6.7 million, 4.1%. Obviously, there's always a risk that he's rotated with Tsimikas. If that risk didn't exist this season, maybe he'd be much higher owned as in previous years. Also, Liverpool aren't in great form. They're conceding goals. But for 1 week, Southampton, proven FPL pedigree, attack and output at time, 4.1% ownership. If you had to ship out a defender, if you have a bit of cash in the bank, if that's where you're at, I think there's worse places you could go.
Yeah, exactly that. And maybe you can't quite afford Trent, or maybe you want a differential. Maybe your mid-league rival has Trent, so you want a bit of a differential in Robertson. And obviously Robertson still has corners and shared with Trent and still has a decent attacking threat as well. So he's kind of like a Trent light, bit cheaper. We know what we get with them. And it's just a fixture, isn't it? Southampton just lost their manager. Will there be a new manager boost? Who knows? Are Liverpool that good at the back? Not really. But it is Southampton at home. So it's one of those fixtures, like I was talking about with Cancelo earlier. You just wouldn't be surprised to see a clean sheet and an assist from Robbo. And that's automatically double digits, isn't it? So, yeah, that's why he's in there.
Exactly. And then we've got a 1% owned player, Webster, at just 4.5. Very affordable.
Yeah, and again, it's the fixture. It's a decent team in Brighton. They're home to Aston Villa, aren't they, John?
So I don't actually think I have any Brighton players. Yeah, they're at home to Villa.
Yeah, so again, it's tough because obviously they've got Unai Emery, the new manager there, and they've had a bit of a new manager bounce themselves. So maybe not. But again, These are differential punty type players that no one's really, well, hopefully not many people have got in their teams.
On to midfield to keep this moving. 1 week punts. Mohamed Salah as a 1 week punt, but I think a lot of people will be in a position where they've got their De Bruyne or they've got their whatever, or maybe they've a bit of cash they can move about based off whatever. If you can make it happen, 2 free transfers, bit of a rejig. Salah against Southampton, we've already talked about his form.
Yeah.
30.9% ownership. Yeah, okay, it's not quite differential. We'll get to one of them. But I think in terms of just maybe sentiment around Salah and ownerships from previous seasons, for Salah, this is relatively differential.
It is relatively low, and especially with engaged managers, I think it would be even lower than that because I got a good rank boost off his. When you check the live websites for your rank during the games, and like I said, that was the last game of the game week. I was on a red arrow. His one goal gave me a green arrow, and then obviously the next goal gave me a bigger green arrow. So, yeah, he is differential-ish.
In the top 10k, he's owned by 21%. Just to throw that in.
Yeah, so that's pretty low. That'll probably rise to 25%. So only 1 in 4 managers in the top 10k. So engaged managers sort of have Salah, which isn't differential, of course, but for what Salah is, it is. And if we get late news near the deadline that Haaland's benched, not that I think it will happen, but if that happens, then you've got that opportunity to switch your captain to Salah if you wish to do so.
I think I'm going to roll the dice. I'm sick of it. I'm down at 1.1 million, and I feel I've been pretty conservative. Apart from 1 week captain and Ivan Toney over Haaland, I've been relatively conservative. I've made semi-right moves. Salah captain against Southampton isn't a bad move. I don't care.
No.
All this jiggery pokery messing around, early kickoffs with Haaland. Nah. Salah is my man this week, I think.
Yeah, that's not outlandish. The Ivan Toney one was a little bit more outlandish, wasn't it? That could have worked, though, to be fair.
Yeah,
it still could have worked, though, because of the fixture. I remember it. But with Salah, it's not there's no way anyone can sit there and say to us that Salah isn't going to, hasn't got a good chance of outscoring someone like Haaland this week. So, yeah, there's no way I'm going to try and talk you out of that one.
But we have got a proper differential. 100 times less owned. 0.3%. Tavernier. How do you say that? Tavernier?
I think so, yeah. I think, and again with him, I'm not saying that he is better than bringing in the likes of a Rashford, a Trossard, an Almiron. Of course I'm not. But he is doing well in the last few weeks. And Bournemouth's fixture, most importantly, is a 1 week punt. So I wouldn't want necessarily Tavernier for a long period of time. But it's a 1 week punt, and it's Everton at home for an informed, cheap midfielder. What that also allows you, if you've got 2 free transfers or if you're happy to take a -4, it allows something like, the injured Mitrovic, who's got a red flag now because he should have a red flag. Fulham have confirmed he's definitely out of the game, which is actually quite nice. I've got Mitrovic, but it's just nice to know one way or the other.
Yeah.
That gives you the money in the bank if you downgraded a midfielder to Tavernier to get up to the likes of a Darwin, to get up to the likes of Harry Kane, maybe. If you wish to go there. So it's, Tavernier is a budget enabler and he's a good option in his own right this week. Maybe you could afford any midfielder and money's not an option. He's still a decent shout at home to Everton. He's worth considering.
Yeah, off the back of a 5-pointer, then a 16-pointer with a goal and 3 assists in 2 games against Spurs and Leeds at home to Everton. Absolutely great way to enable. I don't have a graphic to pull up on the screen, but after talking to Abdul earlier in the week, it kind of got me. He convinced me on a player, and I want to get your opinion, Wes, because I'm seriously considering it. Benrahma at 5.6 million, also under 1% ownership. 2 goals in his last 3 at home to Leicester. He kind of half convinced me a bit, but
100%. If I was to get a West Ham, and again their fixture is good as well. If I was to get a West Ham midfielder, a few game weeks ago, it was all about Bowen, wasn't it? But right now it would be Benrahma. Benrahma's taking penalties off of Bowen. He scored his penalty emphatically, so there's no reason why he won't take the next one. Scored a screamer the last game. And if I was to go for him, it seems like David Moyes, even when he's playing well and scoring goals, subs him off early or even can leave him on the bench. So there's risk there. But again, because we keep saying it, but if you sub Benrahma in a normal season, then all of a sudden in 2 or 3 game weeks' time, you're regretting it because he's lost his place in the team. there's no worry of that right now. He's in good enough form that he should start this next one game, and then obviously in the World Cup break you can ship him on. So yeah, I like that shout from you and Abdul.
Yep. So that was it. I'm just looking there at the comments. Sorry, distracting me. Benjamin here. Want to take a crazy step and Captain Foden as my instincts tell me I'll haul. Is it doom or worth trying? I think it's either it's boom or bust. It's boom or doom. I'm going to start saying boom or doom. I don't have that risk appetite, Benjamin, but you know what it is. Fair play to you if you have the balls, because I don't. Like, that's mad. It's mad.
It could work.
Yeah.
It is mad. It just with Foden, I just think, like I said, are you going to be? Did you keep up with the early leaks last week, John?
With the what? Sorry, early
Man City leaks.
This week. What time? What time's the deadline this week? 11.
It's yeah.
So I'm in trouble. I'm on Sky from 10:30 to 11. So unless I'm bluffing and doing the transfers under the screen,
yeah,
I might not be able to.
You might be able to. I was on Sky when something was happening the other week as well with Foden and Haaland. So yeah, got screwed over there as well. City seems to be the early kickoff, but yeah, what I was trying to get at is if we get news Foden starts, I don't hate captaining him.
Yeah,
so it's very difficult.
Yeah, if you know he starts, that's a fair captain, in my opinion. I think if you hear Foden starts and Haaland's on the bench, fair captain. If they both start, you probably captain Haaland. If you're unsure and you're not going to be able to wait around for early team news, I'm captaining Salah because I just think it's safer and I can't be arsed with the jiggery pokery. I might change that, by the way. But we'll move on to forwards. That's enough on midfielders. Forwards we've picked here, I've seen one of them mentioned a bit in the comments. It was Solanke, but we've also got Darwin, and I think I'm going to try and get this guy in. Darwin for a 1 week punt, 8.6% ownership for an 8.9 million lad off to the World Cup after this. What are your thoughts on Darwin?
I think I'm really scared of not owning him this week. I can't get there without a -4. I don't think it would be like, I could do Wilson and Mitrovic to Solanke and Darwin for a -4. Do I like a -4 for one game week though? It's a lot of eggs in one basket to work out, isn't it? But yeah, I really like Darwin. I feel like he's the sort of player that at one point he's going to have such an explosive game because he shoots on sight, he hits the bar, he volleys it and keeps tip it over the bar. He scores goals. He gets the odd assist here and there as well. So if they could demolish Southampton, couldn't they? 5-0, and Darwin's got 2 goals, 2 assists, and hit the post 3 times as well, or something crazy. So yeah, he is one of those sort of scary players in terms of what I feel like he can get, rather than those sort of strikers that maybe only get 1 or 2 chances a game and then are quite clinical. They're never really going to hit the heights of someone who just shoots on sight, are they? If you know what I mean. So yeah, he could go big this week. Another one in the comments I want to get your opinion on, John, before I give mine. Martial.
Yeah, he got a goal there in midweek, did he?
I actually can't remember. They scored 4, didn't they, last night?
Yeah,
he played 60. One. I remember he scored. He played about 60, 62 minutes, so that's a decent amount of minutes to bank. Ronaldo, I think, might still be a doubt or something. I think Ronaldo's trying to not play so he can not get injured for the World Cup now.
Yeah, imagine he got injured for the World Cup. Like, that's just not on for his last World Cup legacy. All the rest, nah, not a mission.
Yeah,
Ten Hag's benched him enough. He'll be benched one more time. Martial, yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, does he play 90? Probably not. You're going to have to settle for 60, but in terms of his last games for United, if we look outside the injury, when he's been playing there with Ten Hag manager, 45 minutes assist, 32 minutes, 2 goals. That was against Man City in the league. 30 minutes a goal, 28 minutes an assist, 25 minutes nothing, 61 minutes a goal. You look at that and you think, even if he isn't playing 90, which I think is unlikely, he could still be good for something. I don't hate it. I like it. I actually do like it.
Yeah, I feel like I've got negative bias against Martial just from like over the years in FPL that I probably need to get rid of, and I also feel like I haven't quite switched my brain into like a 1 week punt mindset fully, because I'm still thinking about like Solanke over a 6 game week period compared to Martial is like a safer bet.
Yeah.
So do I need to switch my brain a bit more and consider Martial? And if it goes wrong, it's just a 1 game week punt, isn't he? Can get rid. So. Don't know. But yeah, again, I wouldn't talk anyone out of him.
He's kind of a nice hybrid between these. He's coming in at, I think, 6.7 million. So in the middle of these two guys. and under 1% ownership. I think if I had to pick between Martial or Solanke this week, I would prefer to have Martial personally. I think. Let me just check one thing before I commit to that. Yeah, I think I would. I think he's got higher upside. But I think I'm going to try and stretch to Darwin. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can, if you're looking at Callum Wilson or Mitrovic in your team and you've got like 2-3 million in the bank or whatever it is, then yeah, Darwin's like such a no-brainer compared to the other options we're talking about.
Now, Wes, we're going to have a quick look at our double up for the game week. So we play the FPL double up game, hence the name of this podcast each week. And Wes, I've just done it again where I've hidden you. You're back. So basically, there's a few rules. There's a couple of unwritten rules. One is that the players we pick, we have to pick 2 players each week for the double up. And between them, they have to be owned by less than 1% of the top 10k. That's combined ownership. You can't use the same team twice in consecutive game week. So I played you this week using that because I knew you'd picked Man City. So I didn't have to pick Man City because I knew you were blocked out, which was good.
Yeah, good.
So I didn't even feel the need to pick them when I thought there was a better option. And the loser at the end of the season shaves off their beautiful beard. We've both worked very hard on these. Mine actually needs a trim. But yeah, so you'll be seeing one of us baby face. On top of that, we kind of have an unwritten rule that you can't pick 2 players that are like over 10 million because otherwise you could go De Bruyne and Haaland, and not many people have that combination. I have a quick cough to take here. I don't know why. So I'll let you talk about your picks first for this week. In fact, talk about them now, and then we'll look at the table from last week because I've done this arseways, so we may as well commit to it.
Yeah. Okay. So, nice cough. So, John, I nearly actually, because you went Liverpool players, I nearly also went Liverpool players, which I don't think is a rule. I was going to go for 2 different Liverpool players.
Oh, yeah, we didn't. I don't think we can pick the same team, can we?
No, probably not.
Maybe
so
we
I
could.
went Bob's.
I don't know.
Maybe. Because I like that fixture, but then I thought, nah, it's better to go. But I really like Maddison this week. He's a player that, again, we haven't really spoke about midfield replacements for Foden if we get late news. And Maddison would probably be my go-to pick. And even though Saka's probably got a better fixture, and there's some good cheap midfielders like Trossard, Rashford, there's lots of good midfielders, but I really like Maddison at the minute. It's another tricky one with this, though. Does Maddison have one eye on the World Cup? This might be, it's his first tournament with England. He's only got 1 England cap, so this is huge for every player, of course, but especially Maddison. Is he going to have one eye on the World Cup? Is he going to be... I don't know if managers will panders this, but if he said to Rodgers, like, I want to miss out or I want to start at the bench, I want to only play 60 minutes, I just don't know. However, I'm assuming that Maddison and Barnes play a large proportion of this game, and these 2 are the sort of main threats for Leicester. So yeah, I think I've got a decent chance. The fixture's semi-decent, not the best, not the worst, but I'm just backing Leicester to score a goal or 2 in that one and hopefully tick over with some points.
I hear what you're saying, and it's something that I keep finding myself thinking about players being rested or pretending they have a little bit of a sick belly or doing what they got to do.
Yeah.
But equally, part of me looks at that and goes like, Maddison is a Leicester guy, and they're at 14 points, which is only 4 points ahead of bottom of the table. There's 6 points between the bottom 10 teams, and I just think like Leicester are in there. Every point counts, and Maddison's a main guy. Like they really need him.
I do agree with that as well, and I also think that some players will want to keep going on the moment, keep their momentum going. And Maddison's got that. Does he want to miss this game? He's probably not going to start for England in their first World Cup game anyway. He's probably going to be more of a squad player. So, yeah, I can't see that happening. And he's not the type of player that's, a defensive midfielder who's going to be pulling out crunching tackles or whatever. His role in the team is to create and score goals, isn't it? So, yeah, I think that is probably overhyped, the sort of scaremongering about World Cup coming up. So yeah, again, when we talk about my team later, I've got like 4 or 5 routes in my head. Don't know which way I'm going to go. Probably going to have to wait for last minute Man City news before I make any decision, which is really shit.
Now, I'm going to show you my picks, and these feel like cheating.
Yeah.
Because they are... I've hidden you again. I keep doing it. I've brought you too far forward. Where are we going? There you go. Back in your home. So, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah are only owned by 0.95%, just scraped in of the top 10k. Combined, they do scrape in under like 20 million. We said no more than two players. Like, we can't have two players worth more than 10, and they aren't, because Trent's worth a lot less. But still, if it had been over 20 million, you'd be, I don't know. I was going to go Salah and Darwin, but I think they were just over. So Trent and Salah, I am over the moon with this double up. I think I'm going to absolutely trounce you this week.
Yeah.
I think there's a clean sheet coming for Trent, at least. We could say a 15-pointer haul coming. Salah's getting a goal. He's probably getting a penalty and then an open play goal. Looking at, I don't know, probably at least 15 points. So I could be looking at 30 points here.
Yeah, I mean, that is filthy. Look at that. Just under the threshold. I mean, imagine if this was last season, surely that'd have been like 90% ownership or something stupid for those two.
Easy.
So yeah, it's nuts. But you've hit every single rule, so no problem there. A bit like I had Alvarez and De Bruyne last week as a bit of a cheeky one, which worked out well. So yeah.
And speaking of which, it did work out well. We've got it on the screen now. 9 points for Alvarez, 7 points for De Bruyne. They too were 0.95% owned, so they just scraped in. Very similar, actually. The premium and then the kind of 7 million-ish vibe. Yeah. I got a bit unlucky, I suppose, with, Almiron did his bit. But Wilson unfortunately wasn't. He went off. So now I got 9 points. Happy with that. You got 16. Overall totals now, I'm on 71. You're on 74 for the season. So this is we have a big week coming now. That'll see us in the World Cup break, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm happy Almiron did something. 9 points, 16 points. You did very well. So that's it. But this week's picks, I have Salah and Trent, and you have Barnes and Maddison. So best of luck with that.
I'm going to get ruined.
I hope you do. I hope they don't blank. I hope there isn't like 2 blanks on my side. Right, I wanted to show you very quickly. We will have a quick look at your team for the upcoming week. Now, I've pulled your team into the My Team tool. I haven't tinkered anything. This is actually my team. We're going to look at my team first. I pulled the wrong one up. We're going to have I'll play around here and tell you what I'm thinking, right? So I'm thinking Salah captain, all right? I'm thinking, do you know what, Wes? I don't know what to think. Will you help me? I've got Mitrovic, I've got Wilson, I've got 0.9 in the bank, and I've got 2 free transfers. I want Nunez, which means realistically I'd probably have to ditch Wilson. But Mitrovic is a priority get out. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if I get rid of Mitrovic and I bring in Darwin, I need to find 1.2 million. And that's where going down from Foden is so easy. Now, I've got Cancelo. Sorry.
Yeah, but John, I don't think there is a priority out of Mitrovic and Wilson really, because long term, yes, obviously we're not playing long term anymore. So if you did Mitrovic out, you'd probably have to bench. I guess you could bench one of your defenders, but you could potentially just bench Wilson this week anyway. So what I'm saying is, because Wilson's cost more, if you can jump straight to Darwin by doing that, then that could make sense.
And then just leave Mitrovic on the bench.
And then leave Mitrovic on the bench, and then you've still got. I can't see your other 2 subs quite right now, but you'd still have a couple of decent subs, though, wouldn't you? So
so maybe
I think that could work.
Maybe if I switch, where's Mitrovic? Surely he'd be. Is he doing that bad? I thought he was doing much better this season. Mitrovic there, yeah. So if we switch you in here, we're looking at something like this, where I would have Pope, Gahey against Nottingham Forest, Cancelo, Trippier, Castagna, Salah, Martinelli, Foden, Zaha, Haaland, and Darwin. I still need to find 0.6 million, but I do have a free transfer, so it's about where do I find that? I don't really want to lose Cancelo or Trippier. Don't really want to lose Zaha against Forest after his haul. Don't really want to lose Martinelli against Wolves. Don't really want to... Not losing Salah, not losing Haaland, not losing Darwin. So that means Foden is one option. Or... I can't really... The defenders can't go anywhere. Maybe...
Like you've said about Martinelli as well, yes, we are playing 1 week punt territory now, but if you do want Martinelli post international break, it will obviously affect your bank balance getting him back in. So there is a little bit. There is obviously that slight factor to keep one eye on everyone when you
I
are thinking about tweaking out players. That you will lose value if you do that. You can still do it if you want, but there is that. Just know that it's not truly a 1 week punt. It's not. It is. We're not in game week 38. There is still the second half of the season to come back to.
It feels a bit weird as well, but I could get away with something like if I went Pope down to like a budget keeper and then played the budget keeper in a decent fixture, like a Pickford against Bournemouth or something, maybe. But I don't really like that either. I can't be arsed with that. So I don't know. Part of me wants to just go.
Because you've got the 2 free transfers, don't see it as like a goalkeeper transfer as such, which is, like you said, boring. It's more about enabling your Darwin move. So I guess the only other option would be, I don't think Gay costs enough money. So maybe, because I'm not suggesting lose Castagna. I do really like him as an option. But if you was desperate, you could lose Castagna and play Andreas at home to Man United on penalties, a penalty-taking midfielder, and one that we know is proven to get assists over the last few weeks. Yes, Man United is a tough game, but they're not impossible to score against. Or you could play Nico Williams. Castagna to Patterson is a cheap player who plays. So, like I said, I'm not suggesting Patterson out is necessarily a good move, but if you wanted to enable Darwin, I think losing him or Pope is probably your best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to have a think, because a lot of people are saying you could just do Solanke instead, and I get that. I don't know. I just really like the idea of having Darwin. I'm going to a big FPL meetup at the weekend. Tomorrow, and I can't wait. And I kind of want to. I'll be sitting watching the games and all. And I think I'll be watching that Liverpool game, I imagine. So I want to have a bit riding on it, like.
Yeah, John. Another thing you could do is take both of your strikers out to enable it. Mitrovic is sitting there on a red flag on your bench. Mitrovic down to Solanke.
Hardly. Hold up a minute. Have I done anything? Right. Mitrovic, remove. Forwards. Budget. Oh. Okay, and then bring him in for like who a bench, and then Castagna or Gay.
Yeah, something like that. Probably Gay. I know is Gay's got an away fixture. Doesn't have much attacking threat.
Don't mind if I do. Isn't that a fun team for a week, Wes?
I've just sorted you out there, John.
Yeah, and comments as well helping out. Modigo Smidig was given it stacks too.
Oh yeah,
have to thank you all. I was wondering. I was
like Modigo.
Yeah, fair play. I like that. I think that this is okay. This is what I'm doing, unless I hear otherwise. How nice a team is that for a weekend? That's a great team.
That is actually so. Like I think I might have mentioned this a little bit earlier. I'm semi eyeing that up myself, but
you have a -4.
Caveat for me is it's -4. If I had 2 frees, I'd be all over that. Yeah, very nice.
Your team's now on the screen. I'll scroll down. Actually, do you know what I want to do first? I want to go back to my team, and I want to see what that comes in at in terms of rating this team for the week. Yeah. Okay. Predicted points for that team are 65, 86% game week rating. Must be the Chelsea fixture for the Newcastle lads. Castagna up against West Ham. But I tell you what, 65 points would it take it this week? Absolutely not. We're going for gold. I'm going for an 83-pointer this week. Back into the top 100 million. 100 million. The top 1 million. Before.
Top 100 million. Not bad.
Yeah. All right, so that's my team. That's how we get on. Where's your team? Talk to us. You're thinking of Wilson to...
Jealous of your team now. Jealous of your team. So I am thinking of so many different things. I get Mitrovic to Solanke sort of makes sense for me if I wanted to save the hit. The same 2 transfers you just made, if I'm happy to take the minus. But if I take that minus sort of now and then I hear about Foden missing out, I'm also very, very much in the camp of, you seemed quite happy just to bench Andreas and forget about it. I'm actually more in the camp of starting Andreas this week. Because he's on penalties with Mitrovic out. I think it's a big swing and we know what he can offer otherwise. I'm not saying he'll definitely return. Obviously, Man United is still a tough fixture. But yeah, I semi-fancy Andreas. So I could almost, if I think Wilson's going to play, which he might, I could just bench Mitrovic. If I get Foden, who's been on the bench, then I pivot Foden to Maddison. But yeah, it's tough. And defensively, again, I can't really decide between. I probably will start Dyer this week over Nico Williams, but I'm not happy with I'm happy with the World Cup break that we get limited transfers because
You
I
need
feel
it.
like my team's. I feel like my team needs it. It's a little bit out of date. It's like one or two. I could have taken a hit or two over the last few weeks to make it look better, of course, but it wouldn't have yielded more points. I just have a prettier team right now. So yeah, my team's in a bit of a state, and I need this World Cup break to refresh it and get in some big players. Like we're both not got Almir on in there, John, who's obviously been
Yeah.
killing us because we went for Wilson, which
Yeah.
made sense because we had the Tony issue. But yeah, just certain things aren't falling our way because obviously, no one could have predicted Callum Wilson getting sick and only getting a 1 point versus Southampton. On another day, he goes crazy because they scored what, 4 goals, was it? Bound to have
Mm.
been got at least a goal or an assist in that one if he stays on. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know which way I'm going to go, but my team reveal will be on Hub probably tonight or tomorrow morning. But yeah, I'm so indecisive at the minute because I was also eyeing up if everything went well this week, if Wilson was fine, if Foden's fine. I wanted to get a better defender in. I wanted to take out
Mm.
Dyer maybe for Gabriel from Arsenal. Wolves away, got a goal in him. But yeah, just get a better defender. But then can I limp through with Dyer at home to Leeds? I can probably limp through with that. He's just so uninspiring, Eric Dyer.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of like, okay, upside, maybe a 6-pointer. I'll ask
yeah,
you a question before we wrap up, Wes. The question I have is basically if you've got Wilson, which a lot of us do, and you're going to keep him because you don't want to take a -4 and you're going to prioritise the Mitrovic switch, whatever else, whatever the reason, you've got Callum Wilson. Do you start Callum Wilson against Chelsea on the yellow flag?
and
Do we
this is the
think it's
tricky
do we
thing.
think it's 90 minutes or not? Do we think it's starting or not, or do we think it could be 30 minutes off the bench? And if it's 30 minutes off the bench, do you even want that against Chelsea?
No, and it could be that. It could be the fact of right, okay, Callum Wilson hasn't got enough energy because of his illness, but we'll have him on the bench just in case we need a goal. And he's got enough energy to play 20 minutes, but he hasn't got enough energy for 90. That's a very real possibility if he's had some sort of bad flu. Maybe he wants a goal score on the pitch to try him if they're 1-0 down or something.
Mm.
So it's not one of those injuries where it is, he's either fully back or he's not. So it's difficult. If I do that Solanke move that you had upon for my team, and because I'm quite happy to play Andreas this week, I'd probably have Callum Wilson first sub. And then if I heard Foden was out, swap that and bench Foden. It's just I've got to wait for someone worth a -4. Like I said, I could do those same 2 moves you've done, John, and kind of just get rid of that headache. I would then have to bench Andreas, which could doubly bite me. I've wanted to play him. I've taken a -4 because for me, if Mitrovic and Wilson both miss out, then fine. But the -4 isn't against those two because I've got to consider what points Andreas would get because he'll play if I don't do the -4, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking at the minute, my team is likely to be Mitrovic to Solanke, bench Wilson, 3-5-2. But my team's just like I said, I'm not happy with my team at the minute. I've just got to try and get through this last game week with hopefully a green arrow and go again after the World Cup break.
Well, look, best of luck with it. I think I'm very excited for this week now that I've got it in my head what I'm doing. It's going to be an attacking day. As I mentioned briefly to you, meeting a bunch of FPL managers in Galway tomorrow. I think
Nice.
the likes of FPL Ferry are going to
Ferry.
be there. FPL
Yeah.
Era is going to be there. I think Andy, Let's Talk FPL is going. So there's going to be a bunch of us out having pints. So if you're in Ireland and you'd like to go and have some pints in Galway tomorrow and watch 4 matches or even call in for one FPL, I think they've got the area reserved for the first 2 games of the day, the early kickoff and then the 3 o'clock one, and then the later ones the general public can come in. But if you've got your seats, just don't stand up. Anyway, excited for that, to meet some FPL heads. Best of luck to everyone. There'll be lots of content here for the World Cup. And other than that, Wes, anything else to say?
No, unless you want us to do a couple of minutes of quick fire questions.
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to ping them, we
If
can.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, just do a few. I've got to go in like a couple of minutes. So
Yeah, I was
we'll
thinking
ping a few
6
out.
o'clock of something too. So maybe we'll do like a 2-minute quick fire. So get your questions in.
Yeah.
We'll see how many ways can answer in 2 minutes. Any questions, they need to be A or B or yes or no style questions, aka Zaha or Foden, or should I do this, yes or no. If it's more than that, I won't ask it because that's not in the nature of quickfire. We'll give them 10-15 seconds to get those questions in, and then we'll just go and riddle it over them out and solve everyone's debates for
Yeah.
the weekend. And Pecan. That pub and go away. There'll be loads of FPL heads in there tomorrow all day, getting drunk, showing each other their teams, celebrating, gloating, crying. It's going to be fun. All right, I'm going to hit go. Go
some
for
good
it.
guys going.
There's loads I don't even know who are going. So like I'm looking forward to it. All right, nice. I'm going to hit go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Wilson. Oh no, I'm going to false start. If I do it again, we just have to go. All right, so Wilson to Darwin or Andreas to Rashford?
Wilson to Darwin.
Salah and Foden in, KDB and Zaha out for -4.
No,
but I don't think so either. Would you do A, KDB and Mitrovic to Haaland and Saka for a -4? Or B, Mitrovic and Nunez for free, but Salah captain?
I would.
I'm pausing. Sorry, I shouldn't have asked that. That's not a. It's A or B, but it's kind of manipulating the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you see the question? It's easier if you see it.
I didn't see that when it was a long-winded one, but what I will say is I would really want Haaland in if possible, but don't destroy. I think that was taking up KDB to achieve it, and KDB is a really good option this week as well. So it's tricky. It is tricky.
Yeah. All right. We'll hit the time again. Anderson or Dunk?
Dunk. Yeah, Dunk.
Firmino or Nunez?
Nunez, 100%.
Eze or Bailey?
Oh, Eze, just.
Ward or Pope?
I'm going Pope.
Salah or Haaland captain?
Haaland for me as things stand.
Mitrovic and Foden to Darwin and Benrahma?
For free maybe. It's hard, isn't it? Because we don't know if Foden starts. I'm going to say no to that because I'm going to assume that Foden starts based on his rest midweek.
Get rid of Foden for Kulusevski.
No.
Mitrovic and Wilson out to either Solanke and Darwin or Martial and Jesus.
No, Solanke and Darwin that first way. That's what you're planning, John.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I had 2 frees as well.
Mitoma or Elise?
I do really like Mitoma. So yeah, Mitoma, really, really good player for Brighton.
Mount or Benrahma? Mount to Benrahma for a -4.
Yeah. For -4. That's the thing. I just don't think players like Benrahma are quite worth a -4. So for free, yes. For -4, no.
Solanke or Skamaka?
Solanke, Skamaka was sharing game time too much with Antonio.
Start Wilson or Anderson?
Out of those two, start Wilson and hope for the best. Hope he starts.
Zinchenko for Justin?
I prefer Gabriel from Arsenal.
Let's time up, but we'll do 1 or 2 more quickly. Doherty to Kanate or Mitrovic to Martial?
Mitrovic to Martial. I think Doherty will start this week. Emerson Royale, I think, is injured.
Start White or Dunk?
Ben White, I think, just bit of assist threat, decent fixture as well. Better team, Arsenal. Yeah.
All right. I think that'll do us for the day, Wes. We got a few in there. Guys, thanks for being here. Drop a like. You can find me here for all my World Cup antics. There's a lot going on. And you can find Wes at FPL_Heisenberg. It's under his head too. We will see you very soon. And outside that, look, best of luck for the weekend. Let's go and